This video is brought to you by DICERAGE. For all your battle reports, reviews, tutorials, and tactics, go to www.dicerage.com today.
Ooh, what's up, guys? It's Lee here from the Bleepot Podcast, and today I'm presenting to you, that's right, a Warmachine battle report. That's right, and we have two amazing factions colliding in this one. We have the mighty Khador against the mighty Retribution, and we have a 35-point match. And basically we are not playing a scenario, so it's a straight up death match, and we'll get straight into Rich's list. He decided to bring Retribution, and this week his Warcaster was Viros, yes, the lovely guy with the eagle. He also took a Banshee and an Aspis. I think that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, very interesting name for a Jack. He also bought a Seeker solo. I'm not going to try and pronounce that actual name that's on the screen. He took a full unit of Dawn Guard Invictors with the Officer and Standard Bearer. He also took the Dawn Guard Destroyers, and he took two Arcanists, and that was his 35-point list. My 35-point list of Khador was led by the mighty Karchev. I took a Behemoth and a Kodiak, a full unit of Mechanics, a War Dog, Iris, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Elf Solo, a full unit of Winter Guard with the unit attachment, and Cosmic Joe. And I also took the Winter Guard Field Gunner, and that was my 35-point list, guys. And hopefully you'll enjoy it, so sit back, enjoy, and we're going to get straight into this battle board.
Well, what's up, guys? It's the Bleepot Podcast here, and yes, we're bringing you another battle report. As you can see, we have the lovely Khador army led by Karchev against Rich's Retribution once
Minty
more.
elves.
They are very nice looking, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Let's get them in focus. Look at those; they're really good. We've got Rich returning, obviously. We just said hi, Rich. So, we're just doing a straight up battle.
Yeah, bloodbath.
Yeah, pretty much. No scenario this week.
That simple.
35 points.
Yeah.
So, what are your tactics coming into it? You're just going to try and just...
Well, I already looking. You've got Karchev, the Behemoth, and what's that? A Kodiak.
Yep.
So three very, very, very heavy things, and I don't think Retribution are really known for killing heavy things. Well, certainly my army isn't anyway. I'm sure there's some tactics out there that would allow me to, but I don't have that tactical knowledge just yet. So I'm just hoping to survive.
You'll do alright. You've got the new, one of your new units over there, the horse. What are they, the Dawn Guards?
Destroyers.
Destroyers, the cavalry.
Destroyers.
Very, very nice. But yeah, we're just going to get straight into the battle report. Rich won the dice roll, so he's up to go first. So we'll be back with Rich's turn 1.
Retribution turn 1. Rich allocates 4 focus to Viros and puts 1 focus on each of his Jacks. Rich then activates the Banshee and spends the 1 focus to make him run up the board. Rich activates the Aspis, that's right, that's the name of it, I believe, and he spends the 1 focus to run up the board. He then activates 1 of his Arcanists and runs him up the board. He activates the other Arcanist and runs him up the board also. He then activates Viros, who will cast a spell Inviolable Resolve, which will give target friendly faction model or unit 2 extra armor and gives them Fearless, and he casts this on the Dawn Guard Destroyers. And then he declares a charge on Iris, moving him up the board. Rich then activates the Seeker and decides to move him up the board also. Rich activates the Dawn Guard Invictors, and these guys all decide to run up the board. He then activates the Dawn Guard Destroyers, and they will gallop up the board. And that will be the end of Retribution turn 1 and Rich's turn 1. Turn 1 Khador. Karchev has an Arcantric Turbine, which allows him to either have +2 movement and Pathfinder, or he can be allocated 1 extra focus. I select the 2 extra movement and Pathfinder and keep 3 on Karchev and give the other 2 to the Behemoth. I activate Iris first and I move her up the board. And then I decide to target his Warcaster, and I select her ability of the Disruptor Bolt. And as you can see, it is within range. I will need 6 to hit. I roll a 10, so that is a hit, and the Warcaster is disrupted, so he cannot allocate focus next turn. The Winter Guard are then activated, and they decide to run up the board. Kovnik Joe is then activated, and he moves up the board and does the speech Courage of the Forefathers, giving the Winter Guard tough and fearless. The Winter Guard Field Gunner then is activated and moves up the board. I then activate Karchev, and because of my Arcantric Turbine ability, I cast Tow. So now I have a speed of 6. So I move up the board, and with the ability Tow, any jacks that are in base to base of Karchev are towed behind me. And as you can see, I tow up the Behemoth and the Kodiak, but the model is very frustrating because of those horrible leathery tail things. I then activate the Behemoth and move him up the board a little bit. And declare a shot on the caster. And as you can see in this footage, I am just out by a fraction. So obviously this scatters and it diverts in the direction of 4, and it goes 1 inch, so it will hit the Banshee. So I decide to boost the damage, needing a 12 or more to do any damage. I roll a 12, so unfortunately I do no damage. The second shot, I decide to target a Dawn Guard Destroyer. I decide to boost the hit. The dice roll goes in my favour and I hit, and because this is an AoE 3, I actually clip another one of the horsemen. So on the first horseman it takes a power 14 hit, and I roll double 6, so that horse and the rider is no more. And with the second attack, the power of the AoE is halved, and it will definitely do no damage to the second horseman. I then move the Kodiak over to give Karchev a little bit more cover. I then activate the unpainted mechanics, or shall I just say battle mechanics, and they decide to run up behind Karchev. The War Dog is then activated and runs up behind the mechanics, and that will end Khador turn 1 and my turn 1.
Okay, turn 1. Quite eventful. Disruptor Bolt really did damage to Rich's Warcaster. I can't believe the Behemoth blew up a Horseman when they were at armor 19. That was pretty crazy. But
With quite a lot of Frosty going on there, really.
It is. I don't know. I love the Behemoth. What more can you say? But yeah, as you've seen, Toe's very horrible. I hate the model though because it's how the back things are. It's very frustrating. But yeah, it's going to be quite interesting with Rich's second turn. But I can also see a lot of my models dying. But hopefully, tough rolls are good. So we'll come right back with Rich's turn 2.
Retribution turn 2. The Warcaster cannot allocate any focus, but the Seeker has an ability to upkeep a free spell, so he decides to upkeep Invulnerable Resolve on the Destroyers. Rich then activates the Dawnguard Invictors and uses the Officer's mini-feat. This is called Extended Fire, giving the unit a +4 range, and he decides to move them up the board. He then chooses 4 Invictors to shoot at the Field Gunner, and all of them shoot separately, and as you can see, only one of the crew dies. Rich needed 6s, and he rolled a 5, 4, 3 and a 6. 2 more Invictors shoot at a lone Winter Guard, and they decide to use combined range. They hit and they damage, but he makes his tough roll. More Invictors shoot at another Winter Guard trooper with combined range, and unfortunately this time he does die because he fails his tough roll. The officer and 2 others shoot at the Winter Guard officer. She fails her tough roll and dies. And then 2 more Invictors shoot and they target Kovnik Joe. They do have line of sight and they are just in by a fraction. They roll, they use combined range, and unfortunately Kovnik Joe doesn't make his tough roll, so he dies. He then activates the Dawnguard Destroyers, and he forfeits their movement to shoot twice. And as you can see, they will target the Winter Guard. And in the crossfire, 5 of these Winter Guard are killed, and 2 survive because they made their tough rolls. He then activates an Arcanist and uses his ability Power Boost to give a focus to the Banshee. Rich then activates the Banshee and targets the Behemoth, and if the Banshee actually hits the Behemoth, large base models get knocked down. Rich hits the Behemoth, so the Behemoth is knocked down, and actually takes 7 points of damage to column 5. Rich then moves the Aspis up just a little bit. He then activates Viros and moves him in between the Warjacks. He then moves the other Arcanist up, and then he moves up the Seeker, ending Retribution turn 2. Khador turn 2. With Karchev's turbine this turn, I decide to get an extra point of focus. I put 3 on the Behemoth and keep 3 for himself. And obviously, because the Behemoth is knocked down, I spend 1 focus to stand it up, after I've allocated all my focus. Iris will then stand and target the Warcaster. Unfortunately, guys, this is where I broke the rules. I read the card after the game and realised one of her bolts ignores line of sight. I thought she ignored line of sight, but as you can see where she was positioned, she could have moved up 7 inches and then target the Warcaster from behind, and still this would have disrupted him. But unfortunately I kind of cheated here and I'll just point that out, and I apologise. And Rich was kind of gutted by it, but then when we talked about it afterwards, he realised that she would have still been in horrible threat range. But anyway, as you can see, I roll and I hit, and the Warcaster again is disrupted for one more round. The Winter Guard then are activated. The ones that are knocked down move up and out the way, and the ones that can move will just move in a nice straight line and use combined range to hit the Warcaster. They're all in range. And as you can see, I hit. And I do 6 damage. But unfortunately, I forgot that the Aspis has shield guard. So the Aspis takes 6 damage to its shield. I then activate the Behemoth. I will stand and shoot the Warcaster. I didn't move, so I get an aiming bonus. So I need 9s to hit. I roll and I hit. With a power 14, AoE 3, I do 9 points of damage to the Warcaster. With my second shot, I decide to shoot the Warcaster again, but I roll a double 1 and it scatters nowhere important. The Kodiak then activates and moves up the board 4 inches. Karchev is then activated and it turns to face the proper direction and just walks up a little bit. The Winter Guard Field Gunner then decides to shoot some Dawn Guard Invictors, and I target the officer. I hit, and I only do 1 damage to the officer. The officer has 5 boxes. I then activate the battle mechanics, and they run up base to base with the Warjacks and Karchev. I then activate the War Dog, move in within 2 inches of Karchev, and that will end Khador turn 2.
So, the end of turn 2. Rich, how do you think that went?
I think it went pretty well. I mean, altogether I've lost 1 Dawn Guard cavalry model, and I've killed plenty of Winter Guard and Covenant Joe, so I'm pretty happy with that. Still disrupted though. It's a bit of I'm not going to lie. Yeah, see how it goes. I think I've got some decent plans for this turn. Hopefully, if I can do enough damage, he won't be able to come back from it.
It does look like it's going to be a slam and fist turn this turn, but we'll see how we go. We're going to go straight into Rich's turn 3 and see what will happen.
Retribution turn 3. Viros still can't allocate any focus, but the Seeker will continue to upkeep Inviolable Resolve. Rich then activates the Dawn Guard Invictors and moves them up the board, and I bet you guys can see what's going to be happening. The first group of Invictors target Ilias because now she no longer has stealth. They hit and roll damage, and yes, unfortunately, the elf is gunned down. He then uses 1 Invictor to just target the field gunner, but that misses. He then uses 7 of the Invictors to target the Kodiak. They hit, and they end up doing 2 damage to column 3. Virus then moves up and pops his feat. Virus's feat is called Perfect Execution. While in Virus's control area, this turn, when a friendly faction model destroys an enemy model with an attack, allocate 1 focus point to a Warjack in Virus's battle group in his control area. This lasts for 1 turn. Virus then attacks a lone Winterguard. He has reach and he is in. He hits and kills the lone Winterguard. And with that being said, allocates 1 focus to one of his Warjacks. Rich then activates the Dawnguard Destroyers and begin to charge. Now with all this charging going on, one decides to charge at the Kodiak. And as you can see, he does ride-by attacks because he is cavalry. He hits one, and yes, he kills one. He hits another one, and yes, he kills one. And ends up in the melee range of the Kodiak. The second will charge the Kodiak as well. The charge line hits another Winterguard. He kills that Winterguard. It then hits another Winterguard, but unfortunately doesn't hit him, so his charge ends there. And the other 2 decide to charge the Behemoth, but one falls short, and one falls short by a long way because he has to go through a forest. As you can see, he killed 3 Winterguards, so he allocates 3 focus between his jacks. And with the charge damage, guys, he didn't actually do any damage with the impact hits. But the normal attack on the Kodiak, he actually ends up doing 2 damage to column 2 on the Kodiak. The Arcanist then activates and does concentrated power on the Banshee, giving him +2 on damage rolls, and moves him up. The Banshee then is activated and charges the Kodiak. He charges and is short, but he does have reach with that long sword. So he rolls to hit, he hits, and with power strength 19, he does 8 damage to column 3. On the Kodiak. Rich buys a second attack. He hits and only ends up doing 2 damage to column 1 of the Kodiak. He then buys a third attack. He hits and ends up doing 6 damage to column 1. He then activates the Aspis and charges the Winterguard. He kills that and allocates that 1 extra focus from using that feat to the Aspis. He then moves the other Arcanist up the board. And finally moves the Seeker up the board again to end Retribution turn 3. Khador turn 3. With the Arcantric Turbine, I allocate 1 extra focus this turn. I put 1 focus on the Kodiak, 2 on the Behemoth, and Karchev keeps 3 for himself. I then activate the mechanics, and with all their repairing abilities, the Behemoth actually gets repaired 4 times to column 5. And with the Kodiak, the first mechanic actually misses, but the second repairs 2 to column 1. I then activate Karchev and pop his feat. Karchev's feat is Total War. Models in Karchev's battle group currently in his control area gain Pathfinder and can charge or make power attacks without spending focus. At the start of their activations, affected models can turn to face any direction before their normal movement. Total War lasts for 1 turn. He then casts Unearthly Rage, which basically every Warjack in his battle group gains boosted melee attack and damage rolls, and their weapons become magical. He then moves up the board a little bit to take a swipe at that Dawnguard Destroyer. With boosted dice, he hits, and with boosted damage, he splats that Horseman. The Kodiak then is activated. I try to do a headbutt on the Banshee, and unfortunately with boosted dice I miss, and that is a fail, so I have to buy another attack. So I just buy another normal attack, I hit, and I do 12 points of damage to column 6. I then activate the Behemoth, and because nothing is in melee range of me, I can shoot, and I'm going to aim straight at the caster once more. Due to difficulties, Rich forgot to press the film button, and my first shot I boost to hit, and I end up doing 6 points of damage to the Warcaster. So he's still got 3 points remaining. I target him again with my second shot, I boost to hit, and I hit. The dice have -3, and I roll that. That's right, that is a victory for Khador. And that's it, guys. Another battle report in the books. We've made 1 mistake this episode, and I think that might be a new record. Maybe just 1 in this episode. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and I love reading your comments. Comments are always appreciated. And yeah, guys, if you are watching this weekend, that's right, if you're watching this right now and it's the 5th of April, on the 7th of April, we have a brand new show on DICERAGE. That's right, if you go to STEAMPOWERED TV, there is the link on the screen. You can watch DICERAGE live. That's me and a few of the guys who are a part of the DICERAGE community. We're going to talk everything and anything about Warmachine. It's going to be fantastic. If you want to watch previous episodes, I've got a thumbnail right there it is, STEAMPOWERED TV. Click that little logo on the screen right now and it will take you to live episodes. Yes, the episodes that we've already done. Hopefully you've clicked that thumbnail. If not, go back and click it. The link will also be in the description. But guys, take care, have a good one. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, subscribe. If you want to see more battle reports, click more of the thumbnails. You know what to do. Click my logo if you want to see my channel, and click the subscribe button if you want to subscribe to any more of my feeds. Until next time, guys, take care and have a good one.